Hi, I'm Amy.
And I'm Kirsty.
And this is our podcast covering the highs, lows, and realities of parenting a child with neurodiversity.
Each week we'll be sharing updates from our lives and hearing from a variety of guests about their advice and experiences.
This is Love Needs No Words. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Love Needs No Words. I thought we could start by reading a few comments that have been left on the Instagram page, as we wanted you to know that we are very grateful for you taking the time to write something. So Hannah commented to say, absolutely love this. Your beautiful podcast will be helping so many families feel less alone. Lena says, keep going. This is a fantastic podcast. And Emily says, thank you for your great podcast. It's helped me so much and I know it will be helping many others. So just a few there. So thank you guys. We really appreciate it, don't we, Kirst?
We do. We love the comments.
And we love doing this. So, it's really just like a counselling session for us. So we hope it's really helping you too with all the brilliant guests we have on. How's the last couple of weeks been for you, Kirst?
It's been a bumpy couple of weeks. School's a bit fruity at the moment. Without going into too much detail, we're on a fight for more one-to-one time, not complete one-to-one, but certainly one-to-one during certain periods of the day, mainly play times and sort of unstructured times of the school day. So as anyone who's this journey knows, it's a constant fight. I'm struggling with the local authority to get any answers whatsoever because Max is still under early years. He hasn't transitioned through to Key Stage 1 because he's really young in year. So he's fallen through the cracks with the local authority. So we are outstanding an EHCP. The feedback from the review back in October last year, we've heard absolutely nothing. So we've been chasing that. We then had to call an emergency review. That was then done based on the draft. So I finally got to speak to somebody last week who promised me, wait for it, they'd contact me yesterday. Didn't hear anything. And I haven't heard anything today. So yeah, that's really just draining. The constant fighting. I think we talk about it all the time. And I'm mindful of not sounding like a broken record, but it's absolutely just
it's so frustrating,
so annoying when they just don't contact you back and you just get radio silence. That's what I find so frustrating. Like, even if they came back and said, do you know what, we'll come back.
Just manage expectations.
Yes. And if you're going to do something, if you're going to say you're going to do it.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's the chase basically. And school have been really good actually, and put one-to-one in for him, and it's made such a massive difference, which goes to show how much it's been needed. So yeah, that's positive that that them putting it in has had such a good effect day to day. So yeah, we'll just continue on with that and just hopefully get him what he needs. I know I wasn't thinking that it was going to be an easy situation. It's money, isn't it, at the end of the day? So it's always going to be difficult, but trying to stay positive with it.
The roller coaster of the Sen parent life.
Yeah, absolutely. Other than that, he's fine. He's okay. He went swimming today, which he's getting more confident with, so that's really great. So he's doing one-to-one swimming lessons, and the lady who's doing it, he seems to have got a bit of a bond with. So that's really nice to see him kind of doing something independently as well. And at first he wanted me to go in with him, and he sort of asked me earlier, "Are you coming in?" I was like, "No." And he was okay. He was okay with it. So he went in. So that's really nice to see. I love it when I see him kind of getting involved in different activities. All of these things, and even going back to the school thing, even him coming home. So he came home this evening, and he shouted up to me and he said, "I had a really good day, Mum, and I didn't hurt anybody." And like, just for a 4-year-old to be saying that, he's obviously so aware, but he was so proud of himself. But he can't do that on his own at the moment. He needs people to help him to have those great days that then give him that boost. And I suppose I worry for what messages are kind of he's receiving from everyone, I suppose, when he's having those really difficult days. But yeah, a positive day today. So I'm podcasting this evening in a happy place.
Oh, that's really good.
How's things been for you?
Well, we've had the ongoing fight with the LA, so I'm with you on that, the local authority. So they sent back the amended EHCP, deleted any mention of one-to-ones that we put in, any mention of NHS speech and language, and any mention of occupational therapy. He needs all of those things. So the fight continues. And I mentioned briefly last time that I've had to self-fund an occupational therapist because they've said they need more evidence that he has sensory issues. And unless I get more evidence through an occupational therapist, they'll just keep rejecting because my word and the teacher's word isn't enough. So I won't bang on about it because it's just annoying, but I know many of you will be going through this at the moment, and we feel you because I've actually been CCing in the local MP into emails, which is helping. So don't rule that out because I think it's important that they know the fight we're having too, because it is a fight. And like you said, Kirsty, for me, it's the being ignored and just not managing my expectations. Like if you can't reply to me this week, just say I'm going to deal with Alex's stuff next week, or and I know they're under a lot of pressure, and I know they've got a lot of children on their caseload, and I really appreciate that, but it's just managing expectations. And a lot of us are trying to get the evidence together before panel meetings, and that's stressful because especially if you're self-funding experts to go in, you need to have a time scale for things. So yeah, it's really, really stressful and frustrating, and it's the part of this journey which I think we can all agree is really really difficult. And I had a moment this week where no one was in the house, it was just silent, and then I just broke down because it was for the first time that day it felt like my mind could slow down. And I just don't think we realise the intensity of this journey sometimes. And, you know, searching for schools, filling out forms, the constant fight with the local authority, it's exhausting and it's like it's mentally draining. So I just allowed myself to just have a bit of a moment and just, let it all out. And I just think well done to all of us who are listening, first of all, because we're amazing having to sort of face this journey when none of us expected it. But then you've got all of this other side of it, which we could never have predicted was going to be so difficult. But yeah, I have this kind of thought process where I'm like, ever the optimist, and I'm like, we'll get there in the end. But it's just allowing yourself, isn't it, to have those moments where it is tough and you can just let it all out.
Yeah, and I think it's coming to the realization sometimes of just quite how different it is. I was texting a friend the other day, and we were talking about it. There's a few things that they're going through with the school system at the moment as well, and we were talking about it. And I just said to her, I said, "You never expect this situation to come up. Generally, when you have your children, you think they'll go to school, they'll fit it, they'll go to school, it will just be a happy ride, and everything will be fine." I just don't think you think. I don't even think, if I'm brutally honest, I knew that there was going to be bumps, but I didn't quite think that it was going to look like this, or maybe I didn't quite know how it was going to feel when I found myself in these situations. I think maybe I thought, oh, maybe that might happen or that might happen, and it either has been a reality and I have had to face it, and it's actually been harder, actually, I think, in many ways than I even anticipated, or I just didn't think that it was going to, it didn't even enter my mind.
No.
And not let that affect you just enjoying your child on a day-to-day basis. I find it can become quite all-consuming, and when you find yourself in that place, I think this is not healthy, this is not good.
I think it was good advice that we got recently, which was it's just so important to try and focus on the here and now, and not too much in the future. But it's really hard
but
sometimes.
the here and now can be quite hard.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Even
We've also had coughs and colds in the house this week, and Alex woke one night and was in tears, sort of grabbing his head. So we assumed it was a headache, but I just laid with him all night in case he woke up again. And I think that's when it hits me the most, the fact he can't verbalize what's wrong, which, you know, even children that are verbal can't always express to you what's wrong. But yeah, it just hits quite hard in those moments when you see them so upset and you can't figure out what's wrong. And I don't think it ever hit as hard until we've now had our daughter, who's nearly 2, and she can say to me her ear hurts or her head feels hot, or just can express in a way, even just by touching her ear, or what's wrong. So yeah, it just sort of felt quite hard, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, just one of those moments of,
Yeah, quite tough.
this is difficult.
So
Yeah, and they can be really small moments, can't they? That it
yeah,
doesn't have to be like great grand things that happen. You just think, this
it's
this
tough.
could be different. This
Yeah,
And you feel for them, because you want him to just be able to say, "Mum, my head hurts."
yeah, yeah. And yeah, you just feel sorry for them in that moment, because you think how frustrating for you that you can't just tell me what's wrong and I can fix it. I mean, Calpol obviously is just like
Yeah,
the best thing ever invented. So and can help deal with a lot of situations. I feel like I need invested in shares in Calpol. Just the best thing ever invented. But yeah, it's just been a bit of an exhausting and emotional week. But to caveat that, as you know, Frozen is a firm favourite in the house, and I don't know whether it's because we've watched it on repeat, but John and I were shocked how many words and phrases Alex was repeating at the weekend. And I've even caught him in the car, because we obviously have to have it on at all times in the car. But the songs, but we've seen him mouth the words from the songs in the mirror on the way to school, which is yeah, it's quite incredible really, when you think he didn't make any sounds this time last year, or if he did, it wasn't intentional, so it wouldn't be to tell me something, where now he's like grabbing my hand to lead me somewhere quite insistently. So he'll grab the remote and put it in my hand, or he'll scroll on the TV to show where he wants us to press, or he'll attempt to verbalize what he wants and then mouth songs. So it's not until you stop and start thinking about, well, 6 months to a year ago, how far he's come, that you really realize, because you've said to me a couple of times, God, that's massive. And actually, when you're living it, you don't realize, but obviously it is.
Yeah, absolutely. How does it feel?
It feels exciting, but it's this anxiety that maybe it's just, echolalia, that's like immediate echolalia, and it won't kind of lead on to being anything else, and it's maybe he's just repeating the words. But last night when John said love you, he repeated love you, and I said to John, did he just say love you? And John was like, don't talk to me, like went down the stairs with his like tears in his eyes, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I went down, I was like, I can't believe he just said that. He's like, nor can I. And it's like, you just pray that this is just the start of something. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing to even hear him attempt to say words, because there was a time where we had a serious chat about that, the possibility that he might not ever attempt to say words, and that we were going to have to come to terms with that. And it goes back to what you were saying, that I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined I was going to have that conversation with my husband about my child. So yeah, it's an emotional journey, isn't it? And there's many ups and downs, and then something like last night happens and you think, what? Like, I didn't know you could say those words, and you're saying it in context, and whether you're repeating it or not, it's still incredible that you can form those words. We didn't think you would be able to do that a year ago. So yeah, it is amazing, and I just think they continuously surprise us with what they can do.
You have to celebrate those wins, Amy.
Yes.
Those moments are massive. I've known you from back when Alex didn't have any words at all, wasn't able to speak at all. So to hear you say, he said, I love you. I know you from that moment, and that just wouldn't, that almost felt impossible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think you felt, I think that would have been something that you would have sat there and said, I just would love to hear that. I would do anything to hear those words.
It's funny, isn't it? I don't know whether
it's,
I know, and I don't know whether it's like it's a kind of protection thing,
sure.
that you don't allow yourself to get too excited about it, because you can't quite believe it, for one. And then also it's like, well, what if this doesn't happen again, or what if this doesn't lead on to more? I don't know. It's an interesting one. I'm sure someone could analyze why you sort of, it's like a protection thing. Don't want to get too excited.
Yeah. Can I be excited on your behalf?
Yes.
I'm so excited.
And to continue the excitement, when I picked him up from school on Friday, came running out the teachers, which was really sweet, and they said, oh, he's been playing with his classmates this week, but today has been quite emotional for us as teachers because he for a long time was parallel playing, enjoying playing near other children, but that he's now playing with them. So he was in this tunnel and they were all laughing and joking with him, and then he was on the back of a bike and this little girl was riding him around. And then today in his book, because I have this book that they fill in for me, and in the book it said he's been playing with his friends all day today in the garden, and like just to read his friends again, that's massive. It's like he's playing with other children. This is something I didn't ever think would happen. So he just is a superstar. It's amazing. It's amazing.
These moments, and I think this is at the beginning when you said about therapy, we say it tongue in cheek, but actually it gives us the opportunity to reflect on it. It gives us a headspace, doesn't it, to actually reflect on these things that are happening. Because they are really big. Like Max made me laugh the other day because I took him to get his hair cut, which he's okay. He's okay with it.
You can get through it.
Absolutely point blank refuses to have clippers.
Yes.
So he has to have, as he puts it, a scissor cut. So he walks in.
Just fair enough.
We had to go to a different barber's because the other one was full, and I thought we'll try this. Anyway, the guy was really, really good, and obviously has had lots of children come through the doors before because he knew food. So Max is absolutely motivated by chocolate. Yeah. And this guy put this Ferrero Rocher in front of his face, which, in fairness, I suppose maybe he had the gown around his arms, he couldn't get to it. But he was just looking at this Ferrero Rocher so intently. But he had his haircut. It is so short.
You're like, go as short as possible so we don't have to have this done again for a long time.
Value for money cut. He did really, really well though, bless him, and he was so tough to get this Ferrero Rocher at the end. But actually it's just learning these things, isn't it? Actually, do you know what, we can get through it, but we can't use clippers. Maybe in the future we can use clippers. For the time being, we're going to stick with scissors.
Yeah, and that's okay. And I think it goes across the board. I think children really struggle. A lot of children struggle getting their hair cut, and you get the clipper thing because it, especially when it goes near the ear, it's horrible. Yeah. And I mean, chocolate is just such a win for kids, isn't it? I just think if your kids like chocolate and they've got that as a motivation, it's brilliant. I use it all the time.
Food, for sure. I'm completely guilty of using food when I potty trained him.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I remember a lady at work who'd had some struggles with potty training her son said to me, she was like, forget the stickers, go straight in with the Haribo.
Yeah, well, we're still on our journey with potty training, but I agree. I mean, Alex, stickers just don't interest him at all. So white chocolate buttons are the way to go. It's the only way I think we're going to do it. It's just by luring him in with chocolate.
I don't think a sticker would do it for me.
I'd do anything for chocolate.
I'd do anything for the chocolate buttons.
They know where they get it from. I was going to say I had a really nice moment at the weekend because I know you can relate, Kirst. I'm sure many of you have the same thing, that your children just have no social cues. So Alex will just like run up to people playing football in the park, grab their ball and just run with it. And so I'm like running after him around the park, and you can see certain parents are okay and other parents are looking at me like, you need to control your child. But equally, he turns around with this like little grin. He knows exactly what he's doing, but he doesn't have the social cue that like that is not okay. But part of me just thinks it's just hilarious. Anyway, I go, running after him to get it. and he's just having fun, but yeah, people can take it in the wrong way. Anyway, a couple in the park at the weekend had this like remote control car that your child can sit in.
Oh,
I
cool.
mean, amazing. So they were like, taking it around the park, and it was like a moth to a flame. Alex was just beelined. So he was running after it, and I was chasing him, going, I'm really sorry. No social cues. I'm really sorry. He's like trying to get in the car with this other child. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And they were saying to me, oh, don't be silly. He's absolutely fine. He's loving it. And anyway, we walked round the park together. And by one turn of the park, I felt comfortable to share that he was autistic. And, he just has absolutely no social cues when it comes to this situation. He's in the car at this point, by the way, alongside this.
What kind in?
He's in alongside this other child. So she was just so lovely and so kind. Turned out that her brother was autistic, and she just said, oh, don't be silly. He's fine. Let him have a go. And then, yeah, I just said to John, like, she made me feel so comfortable. And I really appreciated that, because when people are so accepting and just so kind about the situation you're in, you just think, I wish everybody was like this and everybody had that kindness. They're just out for a little walk with their son, with their car. Next minute, Alex is in the car. I'm like now in their life having a conversation. But they were just so loving and kind. I know I keep saying it, but I genuinely believe Alex has made me a kinder person when it comes to things like that. Like when kids come running up to me, or they grab something when I'm at a soft play with Alex, the mums come like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I always say, don't apologize. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Why is it that we feel we've got to apologize all the time for their behavior? They're just being kids. You shouldn't have to keep apologizing all the time.
I know. I definitely agree with you. I think Max has definitely made me a more empathetic person. He's brought an awareness that I don't think I would have had. I don't know what kind of person. I like to think that I would have been thoughtful and kind, but who knows? Maybe I wouldn't have. Maybe I wouldn't have been able to have put myself in their shoes. And sometimes I get, I wish, same as you, that everybody was like that. But I can kind of see sometimes how we're not in that space. And
yeah,
if you've not, that lady mentioned that she'd had a brother, and I think sometimes it takes for you to have had some interaction in some capacity with that world to give you the sort of understanding and some people are just genuinely just lovely people. But I like to think I would have been, but I don't know. So I agree with you. I think he's given me a much kinder outlook. Maybe just look at things from a different perspective and think, you know what, there's probably a reason. It's not that child's just running absolutely AWOL, because trust me, I'm the parent running after the AWOL child because they think it's absolutely hilarious to bolt.
It's definitely that. I think it was, before you have kids, it's very easy to say, oh, that child's so naughty. Like if I had a child like that, I'd be telling them off. But now it's, like you say, that level of understanding that there might be more to it. I mean, we went to a party on Sunday, and it was a really close friend of mine, and her husband was blowing up these balloons, and every time he was blowing them up, Alex was sitting on them and popping them. So the quicker he was doing it, the quicker Alex was popping them, and all the other kids were like, no, like wanting to play with it, and he was just grabbing it, sitting on it, popping it. And I was like, come on, Jez, you need to speed up this process. And he was just laughing. He didn't make a thing of it. He was just, and then at one point Alex grabbed the balloon and legged it, and all the kids, because I was talking and I turned around, and you've just got all the boys chasing Alex trying to grab this balloon. And another mum came up to me and she was just laughing, and she was like, it's like the balloon wars. And then another mum went, may the best man win. And it just made it so funny, rather than it being like, oh, your son could share a bit. It was just
Well, that's not how the game is. Actually, it doesn't really matter. They've made their own game.
They were in hysterics that he was just legging it, and they were all like running after him, and may the best man win. It was just so funny, and it made me relax, because I thought, I mean, if they're okay with this situation, let's just carry. And then eventually one of them got it, and he started chasing the other, and I think you're always on high alert. You always think
Yeah.
because he's autistic, he's going to do something that's really out of character. But actually, a lot of the behavior is typical of all the other children. But I think you just always feel like you've got to apologize, always feel like you've got to be on high alert. But
I
yeah,
am always on
yeah,
high alert at birthday parties. I absolutely, and I
on
am
edge
happy to
till you
admit
go
I
home.
hate birthday
Yeah.
parties. Yeah. I go to them for him because he wants to go to some of them, but I've actually really decided with birthday parties to go to the ones where I know that he'll have a good time. And there are some birthday parties that he really struggles with. Not because he gets upset, because he doesn't, but he just will get very overstimulated in that environment, and that is like red rag to a bull. Like, it's inevitable that something's going to happen. I'm kind of setting him up to fail in those situations. So yeah, birthday parties, just after be careful what you wish for, because for years and years he didn't get invited to any birthday parties. This year we've had lots of invitations. There's a lot of whole class parties, and that's just been a whole different kettle of difficult. So yeah, birthday parties are not my favorite activities to do,
No.
if I'm
I have
honest.
to admit I was on edge because I took them on my own, which I actually thought like I deserve a medal for this.
You do.
But yeah, there was moments like I say when he was doing that and I was thinking, oh, and then they had Play-Doh out, so that went straight in the mouth. So I was chasing him around like fishing that out like a hook. So there was just moments of like, but he had such a good time, and like you say, I think
I
you've
know.
just got to. I knew the parents were really chilled. I just felt like that was going to be okay, even if things were going to happen. I wasn't, I didn't feel like I was going to be judged from every single angle. But yeah, there's some things where you think, is this worth it? Are they going to have a good time? And I feel like we've talked about this. When you get to that point, it feels like a real win because you're like, I'm making these decisions now. I'm not feeling like I've got to go, feeling this pressure.
Yes.
I'm making the decision,
Yes,
which
that
is
feels right. Yeah.
which feels quite empowering on this journey, I would say.
I agree. The challenge that I have is that I can't take both. I cannot look. I can't watch both of them.
Yeah.
My daughter is fine. So, like, if I was to go to a play group with both of them, I actually have to have more eyes on Max than I do on my daughter. But still, anywhere that's kind of an outdoorsy kind of thing where I can't kind of monitor, I can't do both of them because inevitably they won't want to do the same thing. And
No.
I would love to cut myself in half and be able to send half with her, but it just doesn't work out that way. So that's sometimes, when I see families doing these things, and I think, oh, that would have been really nice, but it's just not practical. It's not practical. We're a divide and conquer kind of situation with birthday parties or anything like that, really, generally. Although Matt, in fairness, absolute parenting win for him. I think I don't know whether he wanted to do it, but he did it. He took them both to a play group that's run on a Saturday morning, local church, and it's only for dads. So I couldn't go. They're very strict about it. No mums, and they offer bacon sandwiches, which I think is an absolute joke because I have never been to a play group that's offered a mum a bacon sandwich. But anyway, if that's what they have to do to get the dads
Get them
there,
in.
Anyway, he took both of them and it was actually fine. And I thought,
Good.
yes, this is amazing. Good, like well played for going and trying it, because it is really daunting. And I think it was a success. They all came out in one piece. So, and I honestly, I sat opposite in a coffee shop, and I sat out. It was really sunny morning. I sat there with a book and a coffee, and I thought, I'm winning at life here.
Oh, that is the dream.
I am winning at life.
Yes.
And I felt a bit guilty. And then I thought, no, I need this moment. This is glorious.
Yeah. That's a classic as well, isn't it? Oh, you've got a bit of time to yourself and then you just have this massive amount of guilt and you just think, for goodness sake, I'm only going to be here for an hour, but yeah.
I know, that was literally it, but it was amazing. It was one of those
Really
like
nice.
moments where you think this is a good moment.
Yeah, when you can find something that they both enjoy and like you say your partner can take them to, or I guess for those listening as well, it's just even just leaving your child with somebody that you can trust and you'll know they're going to have a good time. It's just so important to give yourself that space, because
Yeah.
it's so overwhelming, this journey, that even just a walk on your own with a coffee, or reading a book in a park, or going out for dinner with a group of friends that just get it, I think it's so important anyway as a parent. But when you're going through extra challenges, just to be able to vent or just zone out for an hour is so important.
I love reading anyway. I've always been a reader, and I don't get as much time now. But I was actually reading a book called Girl Unmasked, and it's really, really good. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, such an insight into other people's journeys and what they've gone through. Really good book. And I got chatting to a lady in the local bookshop, and she said, "Oh, this book is brilliant." And she was telling me about her daughters who are have finished school now. They're in university, and she was explaining how the Senko at the school they were at had turned around right at the end when they were leaving, and had said, and she'd been told basically that one of them had ADHD, and she said, "Oh, I could have told you that in year 9." She
Mm.
said, and I said to her, "Well, why didn't she say?" And you think, this is so frustrating how it impacts these children, and nobody speaks up. So,
Mm.
and I know that, we're not in that situation, because both of our boys have got very early diagnoses, so the journey will look different. But when I was reading this book, I was just thinking how difficult it must be for these people. And we've had guests come on, haven't we, where they've had late diagnoses, and how empowering that's been to have had the diagnosis, but how
Yeah.
challenging that's been to go through their entire childhood not knowing. So anyway, book recommendation there. I really enjoyed that one.
Is that what it's about then? Is it about
Yeah,
finding out
yeah,
later on and it
yeah, yeah,
explaining?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she really started to struggle in secondary school, and it just massively took over her life, and at points it was it was a tough read, actually, to read it, of just how traumatic it had been for her. And then she finally got her diagnosis. I think it was either 16 or 17. But yeah, really good book. Really recommend it for
Oh, wow.
anybody who likes to read up on things like that.
Talking of that, we've actually been approached by a lady who's written a book called The Autistic Mum. So, yeah, hopefully we can get her on in the next few weeks to talk about that. There's been some really, really good books out there at the moment.
Just, yeah, I think for me it makes me feel like it's just knowledge is power, just a little bit more kind of in my suitcase of stuff, I guess, that I'm just picking up. And also to see everybody's journey so different makes me think, okay, actually Max's journey is going to be really different, and his isn't going to look like that, and it's not necessarily going to look like that, which is quite comforting, I think, when sometimes you can go down this rabbit warren of thinking, oh my goodness, is this what life's going to look like? And of course it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know what his life's going to look like, is the reality. The world will change, he'll change. So it's nice to see just the really vast, I mean, there's obviously similarities, but the vast different experiences that the people have been through, but also different careers, different situations that they're living in now. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, you're right. It's no one size fits all
Mm.
anyway in general with children, but that's what I've really learned, is that even on this journey, the autism spectrum's so
Oh.
vast and
Mm.
everybody's experience is really different. You think that, I mean, there's some overlaps in, I guess, how emotionally we all feel about certain situations, but majority of people we've spoken to, the journey has been very varied, dependent on, yeah, how severe the child is, or yeah, or
Yeah.
how it's changed as they've
Just how it
sort of,
impacts your life, I
and how it
think, and
impacts,
your
yeah,
family's life,
yeah,
and various, and when you have to face the challenges, because for some people they might have not had concerns through childhood. I've come into contact with other parents who have literally almost had no idea that this was going to happen, and then their whole life almost seemed to change within a couple of weeks, and now they're on a totally different path than what they thought they were going to go on, which is very different from my journey and your journey, actually, where there's some similarity in that it seemed relatively obvious from quite a young age. So the process and of accepting that has been longer, maybe more gradual, than to literally just have a situation where, at the beginning of the school year, you had no idea, and within a couple of weeks, your child is struggling to even remain in the education system. That's just a lot to process in a very short period of time. So yeah, we're all going through different journeys. But one thing, we were chatting the other day, weren't we, to a guest, and son's in a very different situation, very different diagnosis, but actually all the things she was talking about resonated with us as well.
Yeah, definitely. And on that note, we've got some brilliant guests lined up till the beginning of June, including someone that's going to come on and talk about how her son is in his late 20s and he's doing things now that she never thought he would be doing. And listening to our first podcast episode, she was saying she could resonate with so much, and if she'd only had that crystal ball, she would have put so much less pressure on herself, and just wish she hadn't have gone through so much stress and worry. But it's very hard to tell what the future will look like in those moments. But it's really nice to have people on that are later on in their journey that can say to us, look, they're doing all these things. Yeah, it makes it feel less scary, I would say. But yes, you mentioned there, so we've got Nicola on next week, so she's talking about her gorgeous son Marlon, who has cerebral palsy, and like you say, there's still crossover with emotional, how we're all feeling on this journey despite being in different situations. We've got a clinical psychologist coming on, we've got Blue Bee Clothing, which is for children with additional needs, and lots of popular Instagrammers. We won't say too much, but they're all going to be coming on to share their story, which is really exciting.
Yeah, I love hearing from all these other people. Exciting few weeks.
It really is. So yeah, just thank you all for listening. We'll read some more of your comments next week, because we just love hearing how you're sort of perceiving the podcast, because as we say, for us it's just a joy to do this every week. So thank you so much for listening, and have a great couple of weeks, Kirst, and we'll catch up soon.
Speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.